Hi guys, Casper MMA here, and today we are back with another UFC predictions video on the channel. Today I give my predictions for UFC Fight Night, Burns versus Brady. Now, my last UFC predictions video was for Cannonier versus Baralho. It was a really good fight card. I made a reaction video to it. If you haven't checked that out, go watch it. We did really well on picks, and overall, pretty decent result. And we are back today with what looks like a pretty decent fight card, to be fair, as well. But before I get into it, make sure if you're not already, go and hit the subscribe button down below. We're only on like 15 subscribers. Let's get that number up, guys. So guys, there is 13 fights on this weekend's card, and we kick things off with the early prelim of Zigiamantas Ramaska versus Nathan Fletcher. Now, this, I actually already made a prediction for this fight. It was on a different card a couple weeks ago, maybe it was on the Cannonier card, but someone pulled out, the fight got called off, and it's back on this one. So I actually picked Ramaska. I think I'm going to go with it again. He might be the underdog, I'm not too sure, but yeah, I have got him. I can't remember what I picked him by last time, maybe KO, but yeah, I'm going to go with KO by round 2 in this one. Then, next up on the card, we have Andrade Petroski versus Dylan Budka. Now, Andrade Petroski, he's a decent fighter, to be fair. I don't think he's got the most exciting style, to be honest. He's just beat Josh Frem by unanimous decision. I didn't watch it, but because it was one of like the earlier fights. But I remember a lot of people saying it was quite boring. He had that unlucky loss to Malkoon, lost to Michael Pereira, who isn't a bad loss, to be fair. Michelle Pereira's pretty decent. Dylan Budka, 7-3, not the best fighter in the world. Just lost to he beat someone on the Contender Series and then lost to Cesar Almeida in the UFC. So I could go either way really, but I just do think Petroski's wrestling is going to get the job done here, and I reckon he gets this done by submission, to be honest. Then next up we have the first women's fight of the card, Jacqueline Amorim versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Now, pretty different records. Amorim 8-1, Demopoulos 11-5. Amorim looks pretty decent. She lost against Sam Hughes, but I think Sam Hughes is a weird fight. It's a women's fight. You never know what's going to happen really. But she's come back with a ground and pound win and an armbar win in the last 2 fights. Demopoulos, she is coming off 2 wins as well. Split decision to Emily McCote. She did lose to Coral Chaywick. Can't say that name too much, but they're both not too bad fighters. Like, I can see it going either way really. But I am going to go with Amorim as my pick here. And I've got to buy submission as well. I think she got a submission in the last fight. I think she's going to get another one in this one as well. So, moving up the card to Andre Lima versus Felipe dos Santos. Now, this should be a banger, to be fair, in the flyweight division. 2 really good prospects. Like, it's a good fight, this. Andre Lima 9-0, undefeated. Just coming off a split decision win against Mitch Raposo, so not the best result there, but he did have that famous like biting thing from Severino. That was kind of crazy. But Dos Santos, really good fighter. He put up that really good performance against Manel Cap, which was like probably his best performance he's ever done. To be fair, he's like short notice or something, stepped up, performed really well. Did win a split decision to Victor Altamirano. Can't remember that fight too much. Both of these guys coming off split decision wins, but I feel like Felipe dos Santos, he's the underdog, but I'm going to go with him as my pick. I mean, I think he's underrated if he's the underdog here, because Andre Lima, we haven't seen too much of him. I mean, he is coming off a split decision loss. We didn't see much of him in the Severino fight. I mean, he's good, obviously, but I just think Felipe dos Santos, after that Cap fight, I can't not pick him anymore because he looked so good there. I just think he's a really good, talented prospect, and I think he gets this done by decision, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go with Santos by submission. No, decision. I've actually skipped a fight here. Let's go back. After I don't know why I jumped up straight to that one, but we're moving up to Gabriel Santos versus Yizha. Don't know how you say that. Yizha. Don't know. Chinese man. 25-4. I think it's his first fight in the UFC. I think has he been on the road to UFC? Yeah. He won quite a few. He's won. He's a lot of submission wins, to be fair. He's got 14 wins by submission in his career. That is kind of crazy, this guy. He's very talented, I guess. He's fighting Gabriel Santos, 10-2. I don't think he's had much UFC experience either. Nope. He came into the UFC, lost to Lerone Murphy by split decision. That's a decent result because Lerone Murphy is pretty decent. Then lost to David Onama by uppercut. So, tough one to call because I've not seen much of Yizha, to be honest, but I'm going to pick him here, to be honest. I feel like Gabriel Santos, 2-fight losing streak, to be fair. Not too bad losses, but I feel like Yizha, He's got a lot of submission wins, and I think he gets it done by submission in round number 2. So we move up again to Isaac Dulgarian versus Brendan Marotte. Now, I don't know what the odds are for this, but I'm guessing they're pretty high in favour of Dulgarian, because I feel this is a massive mismatch here. Dulgarian, he had that split decision loss to Rodriguez. I'm pretty sure it was a robbery. I can't remember. It was earlier this year, but yeah, a lot of people complaining. He won his debut against Francis Marshall by knockout. I mean, Brandon Marotte, don't know how you say it, 8-2. I mean, he's not too bad, but did lose to KO by Terence McKinney, and apart from that, that's his only fight in the UFC, so not much to go for there. I'm going to be picking Isaac Dulgarian, and I reckon he gets this done by KO in round number 1. Now, we move up the card to Ovince St. Preux versus Ryan Spann. OSP, still kicking about in the UFC at the ripe old age of 41. Kind of crazy. And he is coming off a win as well. Kenny and Chukwi, one of them, split decision. Ryan Spann coming off a couple of losses to Anthony Smith and that. But he lost to Anthony Smith's lookalike Guskov as well. I forgot about that knockout. He's not the best fighter at the minute, Ryan Spann, but I do think he gets this job done, to be honest. Ovince St. Preux, come on, he's 40-something. I just don't think he beats the likes of Ryan Spann, and I reckon Spann actually gets to win by knockout in this one, in round number 2. That's what my pick is. So, we move up the card again to Rongzhu versus Chris Padilla. Another random Chinese fighter who I'm guessing is off road to UFC, because I've never heard of him before, and I would be correct. He's got decent record, to be fair to him. 25-5, a lot of fights. He's 14 wins by KO as well. He is currently 1-2 in the UFC, because he was actually in the UFC a while ago. He beat Brandon Jenkins, but then lost to Bahamondes and Vargas. But then he's come back on the road to UFC, won all his fights, looks pretty decent. Chris Padilla, 14-6. He's on a 4-fight winning streak at the minute. One win in the UFC to James Lontop, who we know isn't that great, really. I've seen him a few times now. But I feel like I'm going to go Rongzhu here. I think he gets this done. He seems to be the better fighter. And yeah, I think he gets this done by decision. So we move up the card to Matt Schnell versus Cody Durden. Now, this is actually a short notice fight for Durden. I think he just stepped in this week or something like that, because Schnell was meant to fight Alessandro Costa. But I'm actually going to go with Schnell now. I was actually going to go with Costa originally before they changed it up. But I think Schnell actually has a winnable fight here, especially Durden on short notice. I don't think Durden's the best of fighters. And although Schnell is coming off that KO loss to Steve Erceg, Cody Durden is coming off a KO loss to Bruno Silva, lost the rear naked choke to Ulan Bekov. I just don't think Durden is doing that great at the minute. Schnell, both of them, I feel like it's actually not going to be a bad fight, and I think Schnell actually gets this done by submission in round number 2. That is my pick for this fight. I think he's the underdog. I guess he is, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good underdog pick there. So we move up the card to Trevor Peek versus Yanal Ashmouz. Trevor Peek back in action. You love to see it. I mean, they should never cut this guy. He could lose 5 in a row. Keep him around, because he always puts an entertaining fight on. He's only won one against Yizha, who is terrible, by the way. But he lost to Charlie Campbell and Chepe Mariscal. Both all entertaining fights, to be honest. Yanal Ashmouz, 7-1, Israeli fighter. He's coming off a loss to Chris Duncan, but he beat Sam Patterson, which is a decent win, to be fair, by KO. So I actually was trying to pick this fight the other day. I was doing some analysis of it, and I was like, this was the toughest fight on the card to pick, and I still don't know really who's going to win it, because Trevor Peeks just can scrap and that. You never know. It's going to be a good fight anyways, but I do think Ashmouz is going to get this job done, to be honest. I don't as much as Trevor Peeks entertaining, I don't think he's that great of a fighter, to be honest. And I think Ashmouz is just going to be the better fighter in there, and he gets this done by decision. Now we move up the card to Kyle Nelson versus Steve Garcia. Now, should be a good fight, this one. Kyle Nelson, I've picked him before a couple of times to win when he's been the underdog, and he's got the job done a couple of times, like against Padilla and Bilalgio. So he's actually got a few good wins under his belt recently. Steve Garcia, on the other hand, 16-5. He's on a 4 fight winning streak, all by KO as well. It's going to be hard for me not to pick Steve Garcia, and I am obviously going to pick Steve Garcia. He's really good, and I pick him by KO. Or do I? That's a good question. I don't know if I will pick him by KO, because I don't think he'll be able to KO Carl Nelson that easily. So actually, I'm going to go with Steve Garcia by decision. That's my pick for this one. Now, we move up the card to Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva. You know, it's a good women's fight when Andrade is fighting, to be fair. Last win was on UFC 300 against Marina Rodriguez. And she just beat Mackenzie Dern before that. Natalia Silva, she's coming off she's coming off a lot of wins, to be honest. She's on like I don't even know how many win streak. It's a lot, to be honest. 11 win streak. Damn. She's pretty good fighter. 27 years old, coming off a decision win against Araujo, and I think she gets another decision win here. You know, I just feel like I don't know how old Andrade is now, but 32. She's hit or miss, Andrade. She sometimes looks really good, sometimes doesn't, and I just think Natalia Silva has looked good in all the fights, and I think she gets this done by decision. Now we move up to the main event: Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady. Banger of a fight, to be fair. I don't know if this is this card in the Apex. I'm not sure, but this shouldn't be a Apex card, to be honest. No, Apex fight this, because this is a banger in the welterweights. We know Gilbert Burns last 2 losses against Bilal and JDM. He was actually winning against JDM until the last round when he ate that knee. I think so that was what stopped the fight. But Sean Brady in the round, both actually it's a good matchmaking, to be fair, because both had like losses to Bilal Muhammad. Sean Brady did get KO'd by Bilal Muhammad, which is kind of crazy. Who gets KO'd by Bilal? But then he came back, beat Kelvin Gastelum with a Kimura, pretty easy win for him. But I'm gonna go Sean Brady here. I feel like he's been the better fighter recently and stuff. He is coming off a win, and I feel like it could be a wrestling match. Both of these guys don't really have the best of hands. I know Gilbert Burns did drop Kamzat, so that's a bit of a contradiction. But I feel like Sean Brady is going to get this job done, and I reckon he does it by decision. So there we have it. That was my picks for UFC Fight Night, Burns versus Brady. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of the picks. And that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, maybe leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.